Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us, everybody online. Bryant, Deb, Terry, I see, and there's a few other people on there, Bianca. Anyways, we'll get going here. I'd like to call this Planning and Development Committee meeting to order on March the 6th at 9 a.m. Approval of the agenda. Any late items? No late items? Great, thank you very much. Approval of the agenda. Recommended that the Planning and Development Committee meeting agenda for March 6, 2024 be approved as circulated. We have a mover. John, Deb, second. Thank you. Approval of the minutes. Recommended that the minutes of the Planning and Development Committee meeting held on January 17th, 2024 be adopted. Everybody had time to review those? We have a mover. Deb, thank you. John, seconder. All in favor? Carried. Development service update. Nicole, we'll get you to take that away. Thank you.
Okay, through the chair. So we're just going to walk through some of our current applications, give a little update. So starting with 21083 DP, this is for the 26 park model pads with the boat slip at 102 Martin and 902 Riverside. So I think we all know that zoning bylaw was adopted on February 28th, 2024 to allow this development to rezone to RVP4. So right now, the development permit application is pending the riparian area assessment. I've been in contact with the applicant and their QEP, and so we're still working through that. For 21361 DP, 534 Main Street. So they've submitted some final drawings on February 9th, 2024. And so we have that set to go to the PDC for March 20th, our next meeting.
Great.
I won't talk too much about that until then. So for 23071 DP, this is no new update on this one. This is the new A&W restaurant. It's still kind of in the applicant's hands. They're figuring out what to do with the site contamination potential. 23160 DP. So this is for 113 What Up. I just spoke to the applicant yesterday. They had a meeting with the province and their QEP, and they're working through some of the requirements from the province. They do require some information from me, so I have to do some digging and provide that to the applicant. We're still working through that. 23256 DP DVP 918 Riverside Ave. The environmental impact assessment report has been provided to the applicant, for the owner, from the QEP because the applicant wanted some input. And then once they figure that out, then they need some fresh dock builder plans. And so right now that's just in the applicant's hands, but they're actively working on it. 23288 DVP. This is for 1436 Silver Sands Road. If we recall, they council passed a DVP and they still need to apply for their building permit and water course development permit. They haven't yet, but I do know that they are working with a QEP in the background. We'll get the application in eventually and go through that process. Okay, so 23336. It's a zoning, which I've already spoken to. That's been adopted now, so I'm going to take that off the list for next round. 24023, this is also a development permit and it's to redesign Sycamoose houseboats. This one's a new one. This is the application that we've been working on in the background. And so we have that set to go to the PDC for March 20th. Gonna have a good agenda for March 20th. The next one, 24027, it's a temporary use permit for a short-term rental. So this is the first application that we've received since the 3 initial applications last year. So it'll be interesting to see how council reviews this one. It's proposed to go to council next week.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah, and a couple more. 24031, I just called it R. It's a road name change for Gordon Mackey Lane. And that's also proposed to go to council next week. And 2 more, 24032. It's a rezoning from MUR2 to MUR1. It's for 326 Merrill Lake Lane, which is the legacy. And so the strata has applied with an agent to rezone that property. So far, we have it penciled in for March 20th PDC. Talk about that one. And then I think this is the last one. So 24060, it's a rezoning for a short-term rental. Right now, this one's in the applicant's hands. We've worked through all the different zones that allow short-term rentals or tourist accommodation, and they're not quite fitting the bill. And so the applicant has some options, and they need to think about what they're going to apply for moving forward. So nothing set for that yet, but it is hanging out in the background. So those are our active applications. We do have a few more applications that we know are coming through. 425 Main Street, they're actively working on theirs, of course. And then we have another application, not quite there yet, but it's 717 Capel Street for 2 more buildings with 4 units each. So those will also be coming. Not sure if it'll be on March 20th, but in the works.
Great, thank you very much, Nicole. Anybody have any questions? Deb, you're all over the map there. You're good? Thank you. John?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, I just had one. Just gonna double check on the 918 Riverside. Have we talked to Todd about the 3 meter setback or 3 meter statutory right of way?
Oh, for the walkway?
Yeah, for the walkway? Is he aware of that? You know, when we go to DP, do we not? Is that the time we trigger a 3 meter right away like we did on Todd's property? Because I think Todd might have been talking to him, so Todd might have been talking to Todd.
Todd's, yeah.
And so it would be good, you know, that he, you know, because I know I did talk to him quite a while ago, maybe a year ago, that, you know, when he does go to develop and apply for a DP, that he would probably have to give up 3 meters, but I don't know if he knows that.
Okay.
Or not. Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay, great. Everybody else good? Kelly, you're good? Yeah,
I'm very, very good. I thank Nicole. She's been doing a lot of work and processing behind the scenes, with only 1 compared to the 3 that we had previously. So I know we haven't had a meeting in a while, but there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes, and there are a lot of other projects that are coming through, and she will have support. June is starting, the 3rd week, March 20th, I want to say.
great,
Or a little bit before that, so he may very well be at the next meeting.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly. And Candace, thanks for helping out with the screen so that Nicole and Kelly can focus. Because it's tough, tough to run both. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, moving right along, new business. Item A, District of Sigmoose Building Regulation Amendment Bylaw number 1056, 2024, citing permits. Nicole, would you like to talk about that one?
Chair, do you mind just opening the PowerPoint there? Cool.
Stop sharing. Let me share the PowerPoint. Stop share. Then go to share. No, don't hit that or just hit that. Hit the PowerPoint.
Great.
Yeah.
And then do it in PowerPoint mode.
Okay, I do have just a PowerPoint being brought up. Okay, couple slides ahead.
So go. It's an arrow.
I was just going to walk through what we discussed at our last meeting for citing permits, just as a reminder. So we just walked through the building permit and citing permit similarities and differences. We talked about park model trailers and if that's the only thing that we want to consider for a citing permit. There was greenhouses, cans, that kind of discussion. We also talked about a citing permit fee that would probably need to be required in the fees and charges bylaw. And then updated enforcement wording in the building bylaw as well. The next slide. Then we also reviewed in the background, some of the relevant policies and guidelines with the applicant form. So we talked about that. And then some further amendments to the building bylaw required. I know we discussed, like I said, cans and what we want to do with that. The building bylaw is I think an older one, so we might want to look at revising some other sections. We talked about year-round use versus seasonal use of park model trailers, and then RVP zones in other areas of the province. So that was some of the background work that we took back after that meeting to research some more, and so we're still doing that. So for today, I know some members of the public wanted some further discussion around citing permits on park model trailers. And eventually this will have to go to council for a decision. So we're not quite there yet, but it sounds like we want to continue the conversation today.
Okay, great, Nicole.
Yeah.
All right, any questions or concerns by our committee members? Deb, you're good? Okay, John, good. I like how you brought in the seasonal use versus full-time, so that's a gray area. It's nice to put all the gray areas behind us. And so, yeah, that's a good discussion topic for sure at council. Kelly, do you have something?
No, I just know that I don't know if Terry wanted to say anything.
Yeah, Terry, yeah. Okay, good point. Terry,
Yeah,
online?
Can you hear me?
Can hear you now, yes?
Okay. Yeah, I was actually surprised to see this back on the agenda because Scott Beeching had brought this up before and I thought that it was kind of resolved, but I see it's back. And I guess the argument that we have, I'd just like you to know that Todd called me yesterday. He said he was going to be traveling. He's in California and asked if I would, we're on the same page, and asked if I would let you know that we're thinking the same. But the building permits in resorts like ours, you guys, there should be no distinction between park models and RVs of any kind. In using ours as an example, our resort as an example, we have all kinds of fifth wheels, motor coaches, trailers that are skirted, they're there full time. So all of a sudden to come up and say, well, park models have to have this special permit is not logical in our minds. It's maybe a money grab. The only people that I'm aware of that consider park models as dwellings perhaps is BC Assessment. And I know virtually all the RV resorts like ours in the province. And I can tell you, in some of them, they are charging, putting them on the assessments, and others they aren't. And they don't have a system because they're sold by bill of sale. BC Assessment doesn't have a system to identify a park model when it goes on a resort. So I know resorts where none of them are paying a tax on them. I know that they're partial. I know I heard in staff's report last time that they thought it was great because they could report to BC Assessment that they were there so that Sycamoose could get their dollar out of people with park models. I think throughout the province, that's pretty unfair that the district would want to be the bird dog for this. I know that resorts, and talking to other resorts, that I believe you're going to see owners of park models fighting BC Assessment for charging, but that's yet to be seen. When you read your own permit, means a permission or authorization in writing from a building official for works or construction required. Well, there's no works or construction. The developers did that, all the works that are required to put a park model on. So it's just driving it there and setting it down. They go on, they can go on the ground. They don't have to be on concrete foundations even. So if you go to what is being suggested here, I'm going to suggest the only way you could really, if you're going to go inspect them, is you're going to require everybody with a park model to have to go and get a costly survey certificate to prove where it's sitting. I think it's being onerous on the district to do this. And I just don't see any point. It's not done in other resorts in the province. I, I don't know why, like I say, where there's a zoning there, if you go, if the district goes, and there's, whether it's a park model or an RV, and it's not conforming to the setbacks, then the district can do something about it. To move a park model takes a couple of hours. It's not a big deal. You jack it up, you slide it over, and that's it. So I don't know why this has come back again, because I thought it was kind of gone over last time.
Okay,
That's
thank
my-
you. Thank you, Terry. Tyson, do you want to talk about any of this?
Yes.
I know you kind of been brought in halfway through.
The second permit will allow us to see that the setbacks are adhered to, which is the most important part when we're talking about the placement of these park models, to ensure that they're all spaced appropriately and to the plan. So that is going to be what we're after.
Okay, so Terry, just, not so much a debate, but just wanted to, get your feeling, like, how do we control, how does the district control what's happened at Sycamore Sands or Silver Sands when somebody's encroaching and, you guys aren't the police either, you're not the inspector, and somebody comes in and parks it and then the neighbor complains, or, maybe it's not within the setback, or it isn't within the setback, and then it comes back and forth. So how can the district just kind of oversee how these things are placed without a permit, some kind of permit of some sort? So just
my question back to you, Gord, is what is the difference between the zoning is a RV park model zoning, and we have, for example, our resort, and I know Sycamore Sands do, have RVs that have sat there just like a park model for years. How do you do it? You look at it. Gord, if somebody came in and applied for a campground, you can park them on top of each other, right? Like, I don't know what the objective is, because there's no difference between an RV. That zoning that's put on there is for RVs and park models. So if you're going to say that, well, park models have to, then RVs have to. But you're going to go crazy trying to do RVs, because many of them come for a while and then they go and then they're back again. But lots of them are set up just like a park model in every resort in the province. And the district's the only one that I know. I think virtually all the RV resorts, nobody else requires a permit.
okay, sounds good. Kelly, did you have something to add?
Yeah, no, further to that, and I absolutely get your point, Terry. So here's the problem though. So we're allowing year-round use in a park model or an RV for that matter, right? Which all those other zones in other municipalities only allow seasonal use. So it's this weird situation wherein when we're allowing people in RVP1, RVP2, and RVP4 year-round use on things that are intended for seasonal use. So we're trying to find a way to give us some comfort on the location, recognizing that not all of them, but some of them are turning into year-round homes, right? And so how do we find that line that makes sense?
Good point, Kelly.
Kelly, I do know of other ones, and I don't know for sure what their bylaws are. But Ron Matusi, who I spoke to, had one down in Osoyoos, and I think you guys know Ron. And he had a lot like ours in Osoyoos, and there was no restriction there. They could use them year round, and there was no permit required. There is if you're putting an addition on, yes, understandable, right? But to actually cite the whether it's, like I say, there's no difference in an RV and a park model. If they sit there, they sit there. So if you're gonna have a requirement of, I would suggest it would have to apply to all RVs. You're looking at one in in Old Town, that's only gonna be RVs, I understand. Well, that one, does everyone have to go get a permit to set them? No, right? How are you gonna know if they're sitting within their setbacks?
Terry,
Okay, go ahead.
thank you on that point. So the one out in Old Town, there's no park models allowed in that, within that resort.
And that's what I just said, Kelly. I said, I understand it's only
Okay,
RV,
yeah.
but it's not gonna, people, what you have to understand, like if you do a drive from Revelstoke to Osoyoos, which I'm in those areas all the time, take a look at all the RVs there are that people are living there all year round, right? There's all kinds. There's just RV resorts like Old Town where they're there all year. I'm just saying there shouldn't be a distinction in my mind. You have a zoning. If somebody complains about park model sitting there, then move it over, right? The district can look at it and say, okay, well, it's too close. Typically the parks themselves will make sure that they're over far enough, right? They'll look at them.
Okay, good thoughts there, Terry. Thank you. Anybody else?
I just think, Gordon, it's gonna be really confusing and a money grab. The other thing we have too, you guys, and this is no kidding, we have all kinds of park models where they get moved in late at night, first thing in the morning. When are you gonna inspect them, right? Once they're set up, then you're probably gonna have to go and get a survey certificate, right? Well, they're RV trailers, right? So in the staff report, you can see they've pointed out they're a trailer. That's it. So all I'm saying is that there shouldn't be a distinction between park model and a RV. They're the same. So if you're gonna have rules about that, then make it for everybody.
Yeah, good point, Terry. I'm all about less red tape for sure. Deb, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, so just a comment. I thought at least part of the reason that we approved the rezoning for the sorry, I'm just going to get the numbers, make sure I've got them right, for 102 Martin and 902 Riverside, was there was an argument about the tax base, and part of the argument for this at least was that you do want to have the siting permits, like we can call it a cash grab, but at the end of the day, it's really about Kelly's comment that people are living in these they're full-time accommodation. I'm not going to speak to the RV being a full-time accommodation, but as a manufactured home park owner, the park models are pretty damn close to the same sort of a unit as a small manufactured home. I know that the standards in building are a bit different, but in terms of the living area, they're about the same. And part of what we were talking about with approving Todd's development was that we were going to not have as much tax base as we would with condominiums or whatever, but that we would actually have assessments for those park models so that we weren't losing out totally on the improvement part of that site. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that was part of the, at least part of the rationale when we approved it. Or when we approved it, sorry.
Gordon, if I could maybe
Thanks, Deb.
reply a bit to that, is in Todd's, it's owned the very same as ours. If people go in there and put strictly RVs in there, that you're not going to get that extra tax, and there's no siting permit required, right? It's the very same zoning as ours. What I'm saying is, if you're going to have that rule, and the difference to the district on taxes is going to be minimal, what they're going to make, because even though these are recreation resorts, they are taxed as residential lots. So if Todd's lots end up being $300,000, which I imagine they're going to be around that, the district is going to get a tax on that amount. To put a little bit extra is not going to make a difference, I don't think. But he's the very same zoning as ours. So that's what I'm saying. You could have Todd was sitting there with just like we are, 4 $500,000 motor coaches and 1 park model, and the park model is gonna have to go get a permit. They're gonna have to pay a fee. Like it makes no sense in this type of zoning, and it isn't done throughout the province, you guys, the other resorts.
I can see your point there, Terry. You know, it's something on one hand, maybe we need to do a little bit more homework. I do like the idea about, you know, the distinction between an RV and a park model. That's something, you know, one's temporary and one's not so temporary, because the park model, sure, it can be moved on an hour, but normally they sit there for, you know, quite a few years, right? And so that there is a big difference.
Gord, we have a couple in our resort where people are renting the lots from the owners and they're putting their own park models on. And actually, there's one advertised right now that people will sell the renters are gonna move and they will sell their park model. So, right, they're not necessary. I understand, yes, they are more, but we have trailers that have sat on their lots, skirted, since we opened the resort in 2006,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No,
Like
I
people
hear
are, the RVs nowadays are really nice. They're very, very nice, as you know, and you can get as many square feet in a nice big motor coach or fifth wheel as you can in with all the push outs and slide outs as you can with a park model. And like I say, you have a $300,000 motor coach sitting there that can just back in and that's it, and skirt it and leave it there, as we have and other resorts do. And a park model sitting beside them for $100,000, and they have to get a permit and the setup and blah blah blah. It just, under the zoning, that zoning, what I was part of that zoning, as you know, when the first one to do one in Sycamoose, and that was part and parcel of it. It was one simple zoning that applied to both. The setbacks applied to both, everything applied to both.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Nicole, where do you want to take this? You want to do a little more homework before this goes to council, or do you want to have council debate on it for a little while?
Okay, so through the chair, yeah, I do hear, have some thoughts here, that it's happening elsewhere in the province. And I agree with Kelly, like, we're considering year-round use. I think for Sycamoose is that we've recognized a problem with the setbacks and safety. And I'm not saying that the other areas don't care about that, but I think that we're trying to be proactive, and we don't know if those other communities won't follow suit when looking at setbacks for park models. So I think it's still worth exploring, and we do still have a lot of homework to do before it goes to council. Like I said, we did talk about like some legal opinions, and we're still working through those. What I hear is Soyuz might have a similar situation, and I'm suggesting that the building department can connect with their department and see how that's working. So yes, more work is required before we take it to council. I don't know if it has to come to PDC again, but we can see, you know, as we learn more and kind of form what we actually want to propose. Good.
Okay, no, that's good. Are you okay with that, Terry? Like,
Yeah.
you have a lot of knowledge, and we really appreciate you coming on today and keeping us posted on what your thoughts are. And
I would suggest, Gord, sorry to interrupt, Swan Lake is another one to look at. They have full-time people there.
oh yeah, you're right. You're correct. Yeah. Okay, no, that's good. Thanks, Terry. Go ahead, Nicole.
I had one more thought just about, well, the fees piece. Maybe we should take a look at what that structure could look like and see like how much of a cash grab it is, or where we can make it as little of red tape as possible, right? So that's definitely something that's on our list to review, and what that structure looks like, and what the requirements are going to be of the siting permit. Like Terry spoke about survey certificates and things like that. We're still looking into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. All right. You good with that, Terry?
Thank you very much for hearing me out, guys.
Yeah, you bet. Really appreciate all your thoughts and concerns. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Bye.
Okay. All right.
Gary,
Thank you. All right, moving right along. Item B, short-term rental accommodation act. Nicole, do you have a little presentation for us?
Yeah, through the chair, not a presentation, but I think we were just gonna open up the link to the website. We're on short-term rentals. Yeah. Just wanted, just a couple quick updates. So for short-term rentals, obviously Sycamoose is regulating them. And right now our bylaw requires listings to have the active business license on any of the platforms that they're advertising on. And as of May 1st, the province will also require that. So it shouldn't be a surprise to business license holders for short-term rentals in Sycamoose, but province is also going to require it. Then later this year, the province is also going to create a short-term rental provincial registry. And from what I understand, all short-term rentals, regardless of our population size, so Sycamoose will have to do this. If you have a short-term rental, you have to register on their provincial registry, and hosts have to register as well. So Airbnb and private websites, they all have to be on this provincial registry. And then when someone lists their short-term rental online, they would need to list their business license and their provincial registry number. So that's coming a little bit later this year. The province will release some more stuff. So, but for now, we're going to put out some social media about the May 1st deadline, having your business license on all advertisements.
Okay, good to know. All right, anybody have any questions, concerns? Deb, you're good with that? John? All right, Kelly, you had anything? Okay, thank you very much. That's good information, and yeah, it's always good to get it on our website and get everybody you know, thinking about it ahead of time. Okay, moving right along, 2024 Planning and Development Committee meeting schedule. Oh, did I miss something?
Yeah, there's two more.
Oh, is there? What do I have? Hang on.
Bin B.
Oh, yes, okay.
That's okay.
Provincial Policy Manual and site standards,
Yeah,
scale multi-housing.
yeah. So through
Unit.
this one, has to do with small scale multi-unit housing, SMA, as they call it. And so it's it sounds like we might actually have to do some updates to our zoning bylaw as a result of this. I think it's Bill 44. I guess just giving a heads up, we're gonna have to look through our residential zones and just ensure that whatever is the province is requiring for secondary suites, we are actually allowing that. There are some areas I identified, can't remember the zones offhand, but we say you can have 2 units, and then we give some options about what those 2 units can look like. And some of those options don't actually align, I think, with what the province is requiring. So we need to look at that. And the requirement to have this done by, I wish I had the date, and it might say in this document, June, anyone knows offhand. So we will have to bring, yeah, we'll have to bring a zoning bylaw amendment before that date to ensure that we're allowing the secondary suites as the province has.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Anybody have any questions or concerns? Deb or John? Go ahead.
Not much of a question or concern terribly, just is this a link to this one available on the website too? Other one, just easy for people to find?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Kelly.
And further to that, this is more for council, is we did receive funding from the province a while ago to help us change our bylaws to comply with the new provincial regulations that are coming through. So we do have funds that we can allocate towards staff time and anything that we need to, because there could be potentially some other bylaw changes that we need to do as a result of some provincial legislation. I think we're good for the most part, but
Okay,
FYI.
great. Okay. All right. Good to go. We're moving right along. This time I won't forget the last one. Heritage Conservation Act Transformation Project.
Okay.
Nicole?
For the chair. So I know we, and I'll bring this to council as well, but we were talking about land act changes and that the province announced that they've stopped or put a pause on those changes. In the background, there were also some changes proposed to the Heritage Conservation Act. And if you just scroll to the bottom there, Candace, they gave an update in January. And they had just, I mean, it kind of sounds like the same situation where they've got some feedback from the public and stakeholders, and they're gonna take a closer look, and so they won't be presenting any changes soon. So kind of that same pause that I'm seeing in the Heritage Conservation Act as the Land Act.
Okay,
Just a heads up, that was also happening, and they're gonna take a pause as well.
okay, great. No, thanks for that. John or Deb, you have any comments or concerns? No, all good? All righty. Okay, well, moving back to item C, 2024 Planning and Development Committee meeting schedule. Nicole, you got a little bit of an update? You want to
Through the chair, I think Candace.
schedule? It's kind of been
Yeah, you can
on and
open
off.
in terms of reference in the share drive there. So I think we've got in our terms of reference, the PDC meeting set for the first and third Wednesday of every month. And we've had a big gap between our last meeting and this meeting. So we were just hoping to open up the floor to see if this is still working for us, the first and third Wednesday, or if we should be reduced to the first Wednesday of every month and only hold the meetings once, and then call a PDC meeting if we need to, if there's an application in front of us. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on the schedule.
Yeah, no, I'm I mean, it's been a little bit quiet lately, and I mean, there's lots, you guys have got lots on the go. You have, I think you brought on another employee at some time. I'm not sure when that's happening, but you know, I could be on an as needed basis, you know, once a month, and if we need another one in between, we could do that. But John or Deb, what's your thoughts?
Sorry, just a point of clarification. I've got the Planning and Development Committee meetings in mind, and it's not the first and third, it's like the second and fourth Wednesdays is what's showing up in my calendar.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, it's the first and third because council is the second and fourth, and I think it might have changed because it was scheduled for every 2 weeks, but then when there's a bonus week here and there, it shifts, so we do need to update that schedule. And I'm sorry, I missed the first little bit of this discussion, but just from a staff perspective, a lot of work goes into preparing stuff with agendas as well, and with meetings every week between PDC council. There's a lot of work happening behind the scenes, and I think, you know, we can process applications in a timely manner by having one meeting a month. And if there is something of urgent nature, we want to get it processed too, right? So then we can save that, call a meeting on the Wednesday.
Cold snap meeting.
Third Wednesday if we need to, but yeah.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. And clearly I'm looking at this terms of reference. It's wrong too, because it says the second and fourth Wednesday of
Yes.
every month at 1 p.m. So I mean, that's not even right. So this whole thing needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah,
I thought just because it's been a while since we've had a meeting, we should just talk about the schedule and what works for everybody, because it has to work for you guys too.
yeah, we talked about that, revising the terms of reference and it's, you know, moving, you know, coming into a second year, maybe you might want a new chair, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, so I can sit off on the side. That'd be great. So, okay, Deb, you okay with that?
Yeah, so I have no issue with going to one meeting a month. The first Wednesday, I don't know, just maybe I've already booked something, for instance, April 3rd, because I thought, so I'm going to be away and it's going to be a little trickier. The first week of the month can just be a little busier for me. Not sure if we can go to the third Wednesday as the regular meeting or.
Is it okay? Thanks, Deb. Is that okay, Kelly? Does that work okay for your,
Perfect. It doesn't matter.
John?
Part of a Wednesday.
Myself, I generally do go to Alberta around the first of the month. So like, I'm kind of agreeing with Deb that maybe let's try doing the third one. And if it's emergency meeting, like we, you know, the Zoom is here and stuff as well, but I would aim towards that as well, just because it's the first of the month, I generally am out of town as well.
Okay,
Not saying the first Wednesday, but the first of the month and just that possibly could line up.
no, that sounds good. Sounds real good. You know, I'm not sure about Ian. Ian couldn't be here today. He had another commitment. So, Nicole, did you have something to add?
Yep, through the chair. I think, yeah, so starting April 10th, I think in our calendars, we start to overlap with council meetings and that's not, we're not doing that. That's not correct. So we'll have to resend or cancel the invite and then we'll resend the invite. So if that's what you see in your inbox, that's what we'll be doing is canceling and then resending a new invite. Sounds like for third Wednesday of the
Okay,
And we'll have then this one, we'll have the March 20th, and we'll have a break on the 3rd of April, and then whatever the one next is in April, and then we'll start that process and see how that's working. In the meantime, we'll update this so it's correct. It still says draft on it. It technically should be adopted either by this committee or by council. We'll have to look and see.
okay,
Yeah. So we'll tidy it up and then we'll shoot for that.
okay.
Make sure that that matches.
Thank you. That's good. All right, sounds real good. I haven't, anybody, we can open it up to the floor. Anybody online have any questions or comments they want to talk about? Bryant, you're good? Hello, Bryant?
I'm there.
Hi, we normally open up the floor for 15 minutes to the galley. And, so I just wanted to see if you had any comments or concerns.
I'm
You're
good. Thanks.
always so good to be online and listening to what's happening in Sycamoose.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Brian. All right, I guess if nobody else has any, there's no hands raised and nobody else has anything, we'll adjourn. Recommended that the Planning and Development Committee meeting, March 6, 2024, be adjourned at 9:42. Can I have a mover? John, seconder, Deb, all in favor? Thank you, carried. All right, thank you very much.
See you guys.